Good morning all, how you doing? This is Michael from The Way. I want to say good morning to everyone. I was doing a little bit of reading and studying on Carpenter Bees, and I happened to notice one the other day, and they look very much like bumblebees, except the bumblebee has a lot more yellow in it, and the Carpenter Bee has more of a black head. But so anyway, I saw one hanging out by my workshop here, and I've seen them last year too, so I know for sure that they're going into the same hole again. So I studied it, and sure enough, it might be a different female, but the female will go and use old holes. I never did, plug it, but I had sprayed some poison in it. And sure enough, they say use a wasp spray or something similar to that, spray it and then plug it. So let me show you though how I noticed that it was active just to begin with. You'll notice sawdust in places where it probably shouldn't really be. You get it? Anyway, and so sure enough, there's some sawdust here on this ledge by this window, and then when I look up, now mind you here, it looks like there's some, that must have been damp or wet when the sawdust was coming down from this area right in here, if I can catch that to be seen. You see that hole right there? It's approximately ½ inch hole, and that's about what they build. And sure enough, yesterday I did witness one going into the hole. So I was talking to Julie today, my beautiful little wife, and I said, you know, maybe we should try doing something to deter and or to get rid of the Carpenter Bees. And so she agreed, and so I think I'm gonna have her come out and help me to plug the hole, well, to hang a Carpenter Bee trap here, so so that we can gather them together and unfortunately get rid of them. Now if you catch honeybees in there by accident, you can actually let them go. There's not going to be any poison in the jar itself. So if we, because I love the honeybees and we have them all over the place around here, so they could possibly go in there too, but I doubt it. So we'll see what's going to happen. When Julie comes outside, we're going to get ready and we're going to make something. You're going to find that for most of this, the work I'm doing these days, I'll be sitting down a lot, if and when possible, due to the back pain. But anyway, this here I found this morning. I was looking for some wood to use, and I saw this side first. I thought, oh, that looks good, and I didn't realize, indeed, it is a rough cut cedar. But I have some extras, and this is not weathered, so it's not quite as important to me as the weathered cedar. So we're going to use this, and we're going to build a box approximately 4x4, and put a little lid on it, and it's non-treated in the sense that I know the bees will go for this wood. They've been going for my cedar quite a bit here in this workshop, along with the flying ants and such that I also have to make sure that I maintain. When you have an awful lot of free wood, you find a lot of different insects that want to eat up on it. So we're going to get busy and start doing some measuring and some cutting. Julie was asking me again today, and as I said, we were talking about this, and she was saying, well, where was the hole? I'm going to point out to her the same thing I showed you, and that is sawdust. When you start seeing sawdust in places that's not necessarily supposed to be,
here.
And so then you look up from that area there, and you will see that is, and without a doubt, the Carpenter Bee hole. I actually saw him go in there yesterday. So that answers her question for where is it. Now, Julie, what we're going to do is we're going to go inside and we're going to make a little trap, right?
Right.
Sounds
Making
good.
a trap.
So Julie, are you ready to go ahead and start working on our bee trap?
Already.
Okay, so we know we're going to make it approximately 4x4 inches square with a little top on it. We know we want to use a wood that's not treated because the bees will prefer that, otherwise they will look for something else. We also know that this, practically the whole workshop is made out of cedar, and they like it. We know that. It's a soft wood. It's easy for them to chew on. So we're going to go ahead and use this fine piece of cedar I have here that has not been treated, never has been used, so it's not really reclaimed. I'm not going to miss it too much. Julie's going to take the pencil and the ruler, and she's going to continue making the little squares or rectangulars that we've started making. Okay, go ahead. So let's make one more measurement.
4-inch one?
Yeah, you're going to come out with a cut line, just look, yeah, right there. It's a cut line, and you're gonna measure another 4 inches. Okay, so we have, again, can you count them out for me, please?
I'm sorry?
Count them out for me, please. How many do we have?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So we have, so that means we have 4 for the sides and 1 for the bottom. Okay, and now we won't worry about the top just yet. So we're going to go ahead and go over to the miter saw now.
It's a little bit over.
Okay, so we have Julie now going to cut the wood on the miter saw, and she's checking it, making sure she's got it adjusted correctly, and then she's going to go with a nice slow cut. Very good. Okay, so then we're going to go ahead and do the other 4. Okay, so then we're going to go ahead and cut this. Now, as I was explaining to her at the very beginning, we don't want to cut our fingers off. So, and she agreed with that too. So, didn't you agree with that?
Yes, for sure.
Notice how she's lining this up. Make sure she gets right there on that line.
Okay.
So we have our 5. Now she's going to line it up so we can make the 6. And then 1 more.
2 more.
No, just 1 more.
Oh, because the other is the top. Okay, so now we're going to take these components that we cut and put them together. So we're going to use the rough side for the inside, and we're going to put one for the bottom piece, and then we're going to put the 2 sides on. And we cut a little piece from the remnant wood to put for the bottom. So we're going to just wedge it back down here, and we're going to glue all this together because the jar is going to screw onto here. So, and this is going to be this part here. And so we're just making sure right now it all fits together first before we glue it together. And then what we're going to do after this is all glued together, we're going to make a hole here and attach the jar for the Carpenter Bees to go into. So we'll show you that in a little bit, but right now we're going to just making sure this all fits. The dimensions of this little box is 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches. So we're just making sure it all fits, like I say, before we glue it together.
So Julie asked me to explain what a pilot hole is and why we drill one. As I've shown you in some other work before, we're going to be using screws to put this together along with our glue. This is the number 6 screw. It's drywall screw, which I happen to like to use. I feel that it's a good outdoor screw too. These are 1 by 1 1/4 inch screws, and when you put this through the wood, this is how much is going to go through the other side. But if you imagine you have your grain coming this way, and you put a screw through here without a pilot hole, what's going to happen is the wood's going to split. So we make pilot holes first, and that's what that is. It's a pilot hole meaning that it's there for you to pilot your screw through. So as she described to you earlier, you put the wood together as a test, make sure everything looks like it's going to work out for you, and then you decide where your pilot holes are going to go. So, and we don't have to measure them out exact. We know that we're going to make it approximately 3/4 inch here, 3/4 inch here. You know that you have to have it for the width of the wood so that you're not on one side or the other too much, okay? So on each side, we're going to have the pilot holes like so. Then the bottom, we can put 1 because the glue should hold it just fine for us. And we got that done. So then on this side here, again, 3/4 from the edges, 1 here for the bottom, and then match up these sides over here. Since these are number 6 screws, we want to get a drill bit that's going to be just a tad smaller, and we're going to go ahead and start. Drilling our holes now. So this is the screw we're using right here. Like I said, it's a drywall screw, and I happen to like to use those. So, and this will be the size bit we're going to use to drill the hole. That's a 7/64 build bit. All right, so now we're going to use the drill press to do this work. Put it in softly to see if it's going to go all the way through the wood, and it's not yet. So we have 2 choices. We can bring the drill down a little bit, or we can move the table, and that will go through the wood. Okay, I hope we saw that on the tape, on the video. Here we go. Now we tighten it down so it doesn't come loose on us while we're working with it. We're not going to turn off the video machine. Instead, we're just going to reach over here and get the blocks of wood that we're going to drill the holes into. Now, you really want those holes to match? What you can do is pull this together and put this underneath, and you have both of them at the same spot, and you turn on the drill press up here, the on-off switch. You got it? And just come on down. And you went through both of them at one time, and you don't want to let this go, because you want the holes to stay matched up. The next ones, we're going to get a little bit of a close-up of this one so we can see that wood coming up. And then last set of holes. But not really, because I just remembered we still want to do that bottom hole. So you see, the drill almost goes through with your fingers. That's good. The part that you want to catch, is on this side anyway. Okay, so we know we're not going to be splitting this wood. Alrighty. So now what we do is we're going to separate the woods out, and I want to mention that whenever you're working with tools, you should have some sort of goggles of some sort on. My glasses are rated as goggles, and so I feel safe with that. That's not a problem. But sometimes things will slip and come back at your face or whatever, and they hit your eye, and it's a dangerous thing. So be sure you're safe whenever you're working with power tools. I usually wear gloves because I know that if I get hung up on a blade or something, it'll catch that first and gives me a chance to get away. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to, on a liberal sense, put glue on the put glue on the wood that we're using on that side, and on this side we have the holes there already. So, and this is some of the, you might be a little bit too close for focus, I'm not sure. This is some of the best glue that I've ever used. Tight bond, it's stays where you put it. It's nice and thick, and it holds really well and dries fairly quickly. So I love it. All right, so then we're going to go ahead and put our sides on. You notice I'm making certain I feel it matching, and sides on. Now, as I stated before, this does not have to be perfect. This is for birds, but you do want it to look nice, especially if you decide you want to give one to...
Bees, not for birds.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's for bees. Julie's correct. It's just for the bees that you're going to capture and actually kill because they're eating away your house. Let me tell you something. Carpenter bees, look them up. Carpenter bees can really do some damage. So you really want to... You don't want them flying around you, around your home and taking over on you. We'll make sure that this fits just right, and we're going to lift up the top, spread out the sides just a tad, and put that piece in there so that we know it's nice and tight and fitting, and then we're going to go ahead and start screwing things together. Now, I have stated in some of my other videos, you always want to have a damp wart cloth around. When you finish, you take off the excess glue. I did put a little bit too much glue. And I prefer to have a little bit too much glue than not enough. I also want to mention to you that when you're screwing in the screws, you don't want to just try to do it all in one motion, because that will cause sometimes splitting of your wood, or the screw goes into the wood and spins around and then you lost your grip. You lost your threading of the wood because you turned it too many times. So I usually take my time and go in slow with it, and then stop when it wants to stop. Again, this is not going to need to have a whole lot of fanciness or tension to it. The bees are not going to be knocking it around. They are going to be eating it, or they think they will. Okay. Okay, here we go again. Another screw. Again, I use drywall screws. They're good for outdoors, and it's almost self-threading. Now I want you to notice here, there is, and it's hard to see it, but there's a crack here. If we didn't do that pilot hole first, that crack would have been very noticeable and probably weakened the structure of the piece. I could have made the whole pilot hole bigger. I didn't want to. Okay, then we want to make sure that the bottom is indeed lined up. Oops, lined up correctly. My camera person didn't move when I. There you go. Okay, so we have that there. Let's see if we can go in here without having that thing move around on us. See, that holes have to be very precise in the middle, so as not to get the drill bit. To get the drill screw. It's okay. She moved a little bit, but that's just the bottom portion of it. And then we're going to go ahead and put on this side. We have to push it out a little bit. Okay. So it's even. Oh, look at that glue coming out. That's good. Okay, that's a good bond. And then here we have our box. Kind of cool. You know, it's almost like a jewelry box, huh? Not very fancy though. Okay, with that part. Now we're going to go ahead and get our rag, and then we're going to take off the excess. As I said, shop rag. This part is wet, that part's dry. I'm going to go ahead and just clear off the excess glue with the wet part first. See, now that glue dries fairly quickly. Like I said, that's a good thing when you're working with certain pieces of work. You want it to dry quickly. In this case, we just use my fingernail, which is not necessarily the best thing to do because you might pick up a piece of a splinter at the same time. But okay, so I'm going to wash off the excess glue, top, bottom, so forth, and then just to make sure that it has a chance to really dry, I'm going to go ahead and use the dry side to take off any excess water I may have on there. And there you have it. This is a really nice little box. It's actually kind of a pretty box, isn't it? I mean, you know. Okay, now we have to drill holes. I love my little camera girl. This is so cool to have Julie working with me with the project outside and also doing the video portion of it. You guys don't know how much fun we've had these last 30 days. Wait a minute, it hasn't been 30, has it? It just felt like 30. We've been having fun with doing our stuff. Okay, so we have to drill holes at an angle, approximately 45-degree angle, through the four sides of this. It was explained in my study work that you're using a 45-degree hole because that way when the bee does get inside, they don't see the light anymore coming through the hole. It's not, you know, straight in. They see the light though from the hole that you're going to make at the bottom, and they see the light coming from the bottom from the clearer plastic or glass that you're using. So they're going to go down inside. Theory has it, they can't get back out. I don't know who theory is, but the theory has it, they don't come back out. So we're going to go over here and we're going to make some holes. Okay, so you see my guide here. Now if you can walk around this way with the camera and just come over looking down on it, and you see how I have this. This is going to give me a uniform 45-degree angle cut. and that's going to be approximately an inch or of 3/4 inch away from the top. But unfortunately, that's not the way I want it. I want it this way because I want it to go upward. And I'm thinking backwards. Okay, so here we go. When he comes in, he's going to be going upward. Here we go. All right, so we start the, now, you have to hold it steady and then bring it on in. Okay, we have our first hole. We're gonna make a second hole now. Approximately the same distance as the first one. And that's it, we got our holes cut. We're going to go ahead and take out the little excess we have in here. So then we take our glass, or our plastic jar in this case, and we put it evenly over the top of our little box. Now we're going to use smaller screws for the holding the top on. Put the screw in here, and we I'm going to use 4 screws. Make sure that it's in place real well. And you say, wait, you forgot to make the hole. But no, we didn't forget. We're going to make the hole. We just want to make sure that when we make it best possible. So that way would be to cut with the wood behind it. That's on there, good and sturdy. This is right in the center, and we're going to lower the drill bit down. He does it, and going through all the way. Here's my assistant over here who's helping me. Say hello. And now we turn it off because she's getting a hole in it. So what we do is we look around for some of our junk wood now. And this piece here is another nice piece of cedar, but I don't think we'll have anything else for using it for. If we put it over here, it makes a nice little cover for it. I'm going to put the rough edge on the inside because, again, it's bowed a little bit. It's a natural thing for cedar, but for the green where it is. But we're going to go ahead and do this, and we're going to mark it off. Mark it off the way I want to cut it, and that'll make a nice little roof for it. So right about there. We're just going to go ahead and cut this here, and we have our little roof. This is the same stuff I made her plant table out of, actually. Okay, so take our drill a hole here. You can feel when it's starting to go through the other wood, and that's when you stop. We'll drill a hole here, and keeping it where it is, we'll drill another hole here, and then another hole here. And I think 4 is going to be more than plenty. Okay, so then we're going to go ahead and just start a hole here for the screw to go into, and start one here, glue on the top. Down, down, there you go. Nice little trap. What we're going to do now is put a hook on here. So we're going to go ahead and put the eye hook into the top of this little booger here, and that's going to be it. We're going to go hang it outside. Okay, so what we're going to do is go ahead and take some picture hanging wire and cut it to approximate size, and then we're going to put it through this eye hook here. And it's good to do this here because you want to measure it and make sure that, or you want to test it, I should say, to make certain that it's actually going to be slightly straight. It's not hanging weird. That's good. Okay, so we know we're looking good for that. We'll take a screw with us outside, we'll take the cutters with us, and we'll leave it running. So we know we're going to put it right about there. So we're just going to put a screw in there around the center, and take our trap, wrap the wire around in the fashion of a knot of some sort, and voila. Will we catch anything? This is going to be interesting to see what happens. If the bees are still going to come to this spot or not. And then we have another one we're going to build probably for around the porch. We saw one around the porch the other day, looking around, inspecting where he wanted to go in. And I think it was a he. And so that's it. Thank you for watching the video.